Hello, Libby Langley here for another episode of Life in Business. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Always nice to be here, always nice to see you. Thank you for joining me again. So, were you drawn in by the slightly clickbaity title of today's episode? Were you? The reason that I called the episode How to Become an Overnight Business Success is because that's kind of what we want, right? That's the dream. That's what we chase. That's what we're after. We want the quick fix. We buy the downloads that promise us the overnight success, that promise us the £1 million by the weekend, that promise us all these silver bullets, right? That's what we want. That's what we look for, and that's what we're after. And so that's why you're drawn in. You know, people get drawn in. We all get drawn in by this stuff. How to lose a stone in 10 days. We want those particular answers. And it's really tough because yes, these things can happen. And yes, we can make them possible. However, it's neither sustainable nor actually kind of likely that you'll get the result that's promised. And that's what today's episode is really about. Today's episode is about kind of debunking that myth and teaching you, guiding you into what will actually work. It's funny about so I apologise for the clickbaity nature of this title, but let's do some real talk instead here, yes? Now, years ago, when I first was starting out on my business journey, I went to an event, a conference, my first kind of business conference experience. It was a four-day event in a hotel in Warwick, and there was lots of business learning, lots of kind of full absorption stuff. And in one of the evenings, they showed a Katy Perry film, and I don't remember what it was called. So this is over 10 years ago now, and it was really about the fact that she'd become this overnight sensation, right? She'd become this enormous success, except it wasn't overnight, was it? And the film was about the kind of hard work that went into her becoming this overnight success. And the definition of the overnight success was that she'd made it, right? She was top of the charts and everybody knew about her and so was selling out concerts and all these things. But to become an overnight success, generally speaking, you've got to put in a ton of groundwork. It's very unusual for you to start on day one and be successful on day two, right? That would be the definition of an overnight success. And it just, kind of when you say it like that, of course, it doesn't seem very likely. Of course it doesn't, because you haven't honed your craft, you haven't properly determined your niche, you haven't had practiced, so it just doesn't seem very likely. However, if you want to be perceived as an overnight success, that's something I can help you with. And only you will know what effort you've put in behind the scenes, right? So the way to kind of become a success, this overnight success, and I've done episodes before about what success really means to you and how you define success, but this is the kind of we're talking about being the pinnacle of your game, being absolutely on top of everything that you're doing. That's what we're just taking here as the generally accepted measure of what we might mean if we call someone a successful person. Okay, so let's just go with that for that. And if you want to listen to that previous episode, just have a look back through the other episodes and you'll see it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 ago, maybe something like that. So how are you going to become an overnight success? What plan are you going to put into place to be the absolute go-to on top of your game kind of person? Well, first of all, you've got to get really clear on what it is that you do and what you offer, right? And if you don't, how are you ever going to kind of talk about anything, right? And this isn't about necessarily really clearly having defined your audience. This is about knowing who you are, what you stand for, what matters to you, what results you want to get for, or you do get for people, you want to get for people, and what kind of what you want to achieve in life, I suppose, really. All of this is your goal, right? Is your mission, your vision, your why, all of this. That's all rolled into that. And that's how you start. And so many people, me included, oh goodness me, I mean, me included, I just started my business because I wanted to work for myself and I was sick of having a job. Go back to the very early episodes and you'll hear my story on that. I think episode 1, I share it in quite a lot of detail. But so why you start your business, what it is that you want to achieve. And when I started mine, I just kind of started it. I just said, right, I can do this thing. I can do social media training as it was there. I can do business strategy. Pay me for it. And that was it, right? And it's taken me a long time. I would say coming up, 10 years. I've been in business 13 years this year. And it's taken me 10 years really to kind of work out and decide what it is that I want to achieve for others and what my sort of mission in business is, because I started it to get income for myself without having to work for somebody else. Simple as that, right? I was trading a job for doing it direct. That was what I did. And over the years, I have realised that yes, the income and the money is important, otherwise I'm not going to be doing it. But it's for me, it's more about making an impact on the world and changing the way people think, particularly women, women in business, changing the way that you think and empowering you and helping you see that there is a different way that you can do things. You can have the choice that you want. You can have the freedom and flexibility that you want. You just, you don't have to hustle 24/7 to get that. You can be smarter about business and you can understand your business. You can understand the nuts and bolts of it. You can understand your business finances. You can understand your pricing and do that accordingly. And you can be really confident in yourself and the way that you market yourself. Right? That's the stuff that's really important to me. So it's a bit of a kind of change maker approach. And I love the fact that I can get paid for that. Right? I love that. That's the absolute icing on the cake for me. But the money was initially kind of the reason. It was doing the stuff that I knew and to get paid for it. But now I love the fact that I'm able to really make a difference, and I have become an authority in my industry. And I get to speak on stages now, and people approach me to speak on stages, and that's me becoming my overnight success, right? In year 13. So this is kind of the point, that I talk a lot about the journey that I've been on and sharing my own experience, because it's been a long ass time, right? I've been in business a long time, and I've had many iterations, and I've seen many things, and I've been to a million events here in the UK and abroad, and all of this. So it all pulls into the experience. And what I've learned along the way is that the clearer you are on yourself and what it is that you want and what it is that you want to deliver and in which way that you want to deliver it, the sooner you can get clear on that, the easier everything is, because you're not trying to live someone else's dream. You're not trying to live by anyone else's goals. You're not trying to reach for somebody else's stars. All of that stuff, it all makes such a difference if you just think, do you know what I want to do is this, and I want to do this for those people. And that's kind of the basics of it. So being absolutely clear on what it is that you do and what it is that you don't do as well, right? That's also really, really important. What don't you do? What don't you want to do? And that includes things like your working hours. It includes things like services that do you want to do? Do you want to kind of teach people, coach people, mentor people to improve whatever it is that you offer, whatever your skill set is? Or do you want to do it with them, so done with you? Or do you want to do it for them? Do you want to become an outsourced agency, or part of a team where you deliver stuff for people? They're all different ways that you can do what you want to do, and you can make the choice as to which one you do. There is no right or wrong, and there is absolutely a market for all of them, right? So you get to choose. You always get to choose. And I think that that is one of the most exciting things about being in business. It just is, year 13 and I'm still like, I could just do what I like. And if it's not working or I'm not happy, I can just change it. And that's such a powerful, I just think that's really exciting, and that's such a powerful thing. And the fact that I get to talk to you every week for, half an hour and just share my experiences and share stuff that's going to help you is just phenomenal. Feel so privileged to be able to do this, to have worked for so long in such a such a kind of slightly chaotic way, but to have arrived at a point that is happy, comfortable, fun for me, and also the best possible experience that I can deliver for you. The fact that this is all free information for you to access and will be there for years to come, I think is phenomenal. To be able to be in a position to be able to do that and to be able to invest that in supporting you and further positioning myself as well, right? But so how clear are you on what it is that you do and what it is that you offer to people? That's your absolute number one thing to do, to determine, to decide in your journey to become an overnight success in your business. Okay. What I would say is, if you don't know the answer to that, get some support, right? Talk to someone and talk it through with them, and find, they'll get them to ask you questions, get them to ask you why. But why do you think that? How do you want to do that? And, spend time with a 3-year-old who's just asking you all these questions, so that you can really get clear on it, right? I don't just mean, I'd really like to do this. It's like, no, hang on, what would you actually like to do if you dive deep into this? Yeah. And there's obviously lots of support out there. There's free things like Facebook groups where you can ask questions of people. There's programs that you can join where you would get a community that you can ask, or you can get support from someone like me, or from me, if you want, and come to one of my mastermind days. Spend the day with me and some other business owners and thrash all this stuff out. And my goodness me, this knowledge is absolutely worth its weight in gold. And what I don't want is for you to spend 10 years trying to work it out. Okay, wouldn't it be much better if your overnight success happened much more quickly than that, right? That's my dream for you. So if you do want to come to one of my mastermind days, they happen every month at my house. And the reason it's at my house, right, this is another part of be clear of what you do and who you do it for. The reason I have my mastermind days at my house is because it's comfortable and it's easier for people. And as you know, I'm the self-appointed queen of easy business, and anything that can make things easier and less stressful for people and simpler for people is really, really important to me. So let's not go to a venue where I can't guarantee stuff. I can hope that they do what they're told, but I can't guarantee it. Come to my house where I can guarantee what the temperature will be. I can guarantee what drinks there will be. I can guarantee all that, and all that stuff just makes such a difference, right? It just takes a pressure off, and to me that's really, really important. So that's why my mastermind days are at my house. So yeah, message me if you want to come on one of those. They're super cool. And then another thing to think about when you're trying to become an overnight success in your business is to absolutely focus on one thing, right? Get known for one thing. And I think more and more, this has always been important, right? But it's more and more important as everything in the online space gets noisier. So when I first started out, I started teaching social media in 2009. Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn back then, the glory days of social media, and when it was easy. And you could put a post on Facebook and earn a fortune by the end of the week, but it's not like that anymore. And there are many more platforms. Instagram didn't exist then, and Threads didn't exist then, and Snapchat didn't exist then, and all of this. So there are lots more places now where audiences are diverted to, right? We're all kind of shiny objecty all over, flicking through all the social media channels, and so there's all that kind of noise there. But if you are consistent across one or all of them, if you're consistent in what you're talking about, you will be known as the person for this, right? For this one thing. Whereas if you offer lots of different things in lots of different places, it can be really quite difficult, not just for you. I mean, flipping heck, trying to keep up with all that is really, really hard, really challenging to start off. So that you've got to think about yourself and your own your own sanity, right? And the way that your brain works and the time that you've got and the capacity that you've got. But if you say, I do this one thing, or I get this one result for this kind of person, or this solution to this problem in this way, right? So this is, this is how you do it, which is not the most important thing, of course, but the how you do it, the what they get, the transformation, that is the most important thing. And your kind of belief system for that. And that's what you keep talking about over and over and over again. And certainly I've learned through the course of doing this podcast. I mean, I've been doing it, what episode is this? 68. So I've been doing it for 15 months or so now, which is a long time in the podcasting world. A lot of people give up far sooner than that. But I know that this podcast has become better, right? Because I'm more confident in it, and I've learned more, and I've experienced more and experimented more along the way. But I know certainly when I first started the podcast, I was almost looking for a different topic to talk about each week, right? So in the early days, I did stuff about email. I did an episode just on email marketing, and I can't even remember the other things, but not off topic at all, because they're all things that I know about and they all come under the banner of business. But what I've done over time is I've refined it down to absolutely being about the things that you need to know about. And I will repeat things, I will repeat things over and over and over again, because that's what we need to hear, How many times do we need to hear something before we actually do it? I had a joke. I guested on a podcast. I guessed on a lot of podcasts, but one particular one yesterday that I did was, it was just an absolutely super interview, and we talked for 45 minutes and we could have gone on forever, but it was one of those just really seamless conversations, really fun conversations that will be a joy to listen to when the episode comes out. And one of the things that we said was about when we talk on podcast interviews, for me also when I'm coaching clients, I write stuff down because it's so good. And it makes me absolutely howl that it's like, yeah, I said that from my head. However, I've written it down because it's really good advice. And sometimes I just need to almost step outside of myself and listen to my own advice. So that's it just kind of made me laugh. But that's, this kind of refining it down and this focusing more on one thing. So for me, as you know, it's about kind of the confidence in yourself to make the decisions as a business owner would. And my particular speciality of that is around working smarter, working less, and making more profit, right? Which isn't necessarily the same as making more money, making more turnover. I've said many times that I'm not the person to get you to £1 million turnover. I'm not a sales coach. I don't intend to be, but I can help you make your business significantly more profitable than it is already, which will mean you can maybe have a nicer holiday this year. And that's my focus, right? It's about that smart thinking. And so I'm not going to do an episode. I'm never going to do another episode about email marketing again. Email marketing is really important, but only in the context of having sorted out the stuff that we're talking about today. Being clear on what it is that you do and who you do it for, how you deliver it, how you want your day to be, how you want your life in business to be, and focus on one thing and talk about it over and over and over and over and over and then over again. And that's how you'll get known. And by getting known and by becoming this authority in your niche, that is how you'll be an overnight success. Okay? So what about the actual kind of getting known? Well, you got to talk to people. You've got to talk to people. You've got to do the grunt work and the groundwork, right? And you've got to, just to say, I don't know if I actually said this yet, you got to put in the effort. You can't become an overnight success just by wishing and hoping. Yeah, to manifest anything, you've got to do the work, because that's what it means, right? You can't just put it out to the universe and hope for the best. You've got to take the action steps, and that is how the magic happens. There ain't no magic happening without some action. Okay, so how can you, what work do you do, right? I mean, sure, you can post stuff on social media, but that's just like, that's a tactic, you know? But what really matters is conversations. That's what really, really matters. And conversations can take place anywhere. They can be literal face-to-face conversations. You can start by doing a lot of networking in your local area. Get known in your local area first by people who you can see in the flesh. That's, you know, I did a lot of that. Well, I've always done a lot of that. But that was huge in me building my business. Huge, huge, huge. For the first 5-10 years, probably, you know, 8 years, I suppose, I did an absolute ton of networking, in-person networking. And I was known as the go-to person, for sure. There was no two ways about that. And then I kind of did a pivot, and, you know, COVID happened and the world changed and all of that. And I moved to a new area. And so around here, where I live now, I'm not necessarily known. Well, I'm absolutely not known in the same way. I'm starting to get known, but it's harder. You know, it's harder to just kind of start from scratch, and also go from a position where you were known locally and within a, like, I don't know, 30-mile radius or something, and you're known as the go-to person, to move somewhere else where you've got to start from scratch. That's kind of like an ego knock as well. But you have to get out there and do it. You have to start conversations. But there's tons, these days there are so many things online, you know, particularly since the pandemic, there's been even more stuff online. Loads of networking groups online. You can choose them based on topic, you know, specialist area. You can choose them based on geography, UK based or international based, or join some in America. You know, you can make all this choice. All of this is available to you. And you can spend time talking to people on social media and connecting with people on social media. You can go to events and exhibitions and conferences and talk to people there. But the conversations, wherever they be they text-based or eye-to-eye contact-based, or however you do it, that's what will help you get known. And you can do that through, like I said, going to events. You can even do that through your own social media content by sharing something that starts that's a conversation starter. Yeah, and that's when it will happen. You're not going to become an overnight success by just scheduling a load of posts that you've created in Canva. That in itself won't do it. It won't do it, and it pains me to say that, because it would be amazing if it would. But you can do that once you've reached the level. Yeah, you can almost like switch off some of the kind of, and be a bit more passive about things. But if you want to become the overnight success, and you're prepared to put the work in that will need in order to be able to do that, then conversations is what's going to make all the difference. And it doesn't, you know, they don't have to be one-to-one conversations on Zoom. I don't mean that, but like chats, yeah, chats with people and getting your face known. And this is why your branding is kind of so important. And I'm not going off topic here particularly, but by branding, I mean putting your face out there. Yeah, your face is your brand. Who said your face is your fortune? Somebody said that. That's a quote, isn't it? But it's true that your brand, you know, if you are a service provider, if you are kind of the face of the business and the name of the business, then people got to know who you are. So people have got to know, they've got to know your face. They've got to know your thoughts, what you care about. And this goes right back to the beginning. Who are you? What do you offer? What do you do? What do you care about? What are your values? This is the stuff to be talking about. And then you'll connect with people who feel the same. And then before you know it, you've got lots of clients that are the right kind of people, and you're getting invited to the right stages. And I mean that literally and figuratively. You know, if you want to if one of your dreams is to speak on stage, I love doing that. I love doing keynote keynote talks at people's conferences. It's absolutely fantastic. I love doing it, and it's a fantastic kind of platform for me to be on, to get myself more known, whilst helping everybody in the room too. It's like ticks so many boxes for me. But if you want to be kind of the go-to person that gets invited to do stuff, you got to be out there and tell people that you're available and that you even exist. And it's really difficult and takes courage and determination and focus. But if you want to be an overnight success, if you want to get people coming to you rather than it always being a tough slog, you trying to sell stuff to people, this background work will make all the difference, I promise you. And that applies to you whether you're in day one of business, whether you're thinking about buying a franchise, whether you already own a franchise, whether you have already, how far you are along your business journey. If you're 13 years this year into your business journey, like me, this all still applies, right? So wherever you are in your journey, it makes such a difference. And I promise you, it's going to make it more fun. So be clear on what you do, who you are in your business, what your business provides, and how it does that. Talk over and 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 over again about what it is that you do. You're like one core thing, the one thing that matters, the one result that you get. Talk about that all the time, the one thing you're passionate about, and have as many conversations, either through writing, text-based online conversations, to actual physical in-person conversations with groups of people. Talk to as many people as you can, and you will get known. And then suddenly, one day, which might be after a month, depending on how established you are, it might be after 2 years, but one day that you'll just be like, oh my God, everything is just happening. How is everything just happening today? Oh, because Katy Perry, you've put in all the hard work and suddenly you're this overnight success. And it's just magical, but it's really strategic. It's really smart. It's really focused. It's full of self-belief and confidence, and it is empowering. And that's the way I want your business to run. And that's the way I want you to live your life. I want you to be happy. I want you to be empowered. I want you to be focused. I want you to be determined. And I want you to be absolutely brimming with joy. And that's what I want for you. Sounds good, right? So thank you very much for joining me again today. I love it. I love our little chats. I'll see you next week. Thanks ever so much for listening to Life in Business with me, Libby Langley. See you soon.